Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to deconstruct a really foundational model for how businesses make decisions. It's called the Gorry and Scott-Morton Classical Framework, and it's a game changer for understanding management. So, how do businesses actually sort through the thousands of decisions they have to make? Well, this framework breaks it all down into two key dimensions: who's in control and what kind of problem are we even solving? Once we get those two down, we'll see how they snap together to create this super powerful grid that can bring clarity to pretty much any business challenge.
All right, first up is what the framework calls managerial control. This is really just a way of asking, okay, who's actually making this call and how big is its impact? Is it a C-suite executive deciding the company's future or a frontline manager handling a daily hiccup?
So this first dimension, it's all about altitude. You can picture it like three different levels of an organization. We're going to start way up at the top with long-term strategy, then we'll drop down to the mid-level managers who make that strategy happen, and finally we'll land on the ground floor with the day-to-day stuff. Think of this level as the 30,000-foot view, This is where the top brass, the executives, make those huge, long-range decisions that set the entire company's direction. We're talking about big questions like, should we enter a new market in Asia? Or should we invest millions in some brand new technology? That's strategic planning.
Okay, so let's drop down to that middle layer, management control. This is where the grand strategy gets translated into actual action. Managers here aren't setting the vision, but they are the ones figuring out how to get it done. Things like creating the yearly budget or designing a killer marketing plan to launch a new product. And finally, we land right on the front lines with operational control. This is all about the here and now. It's making sure that all the specific day-to-day tasks get done correctly and efficiently. We're talking about managing inventory, scheduling your employees for the week, or making sure customer orders get processed. It's the engine room of the company.
Awesome. Now let's bring in the second dimension. And this is where it gets really interesting. This part isn't about who is making the decision, but about the nature of the decision itself. Just how messy is the problem we're trying to solve? So you see, decisions exist on this spectrum. On one end, you've got the routine, predictable problems you could almost solve in your sleep. On the other end, you have these completely new, ambiguous challenges where there's no playbook at all. The framework neatly divides this whole spectrum into three basic types. So at one end of that spectrum, you've got structured decisions. These are the straightforward ones, right? You know exactly what the goal is, you know the process to get there, and there's usually a clear right answer. Think about something like calculating overtime pay for an employee. The rules are clear, the math is simple. Because it's so well defined, this kind of decision can often be automated. So what happens when we take these two big ideas, managerial control and decision structure, and we smash them together? Well, we get this incredibly useful map for classifying literally any business decision you can think of.
And here it is, the heart of the whole framework. It's a simple 3x3 grid, but it's so powerful. When you combine those levels of control with the different types of problems, you get 9 unique cells. Each one of these boxes represents a fundamentally different kind of business decision. And if you can figure out which box a problem fits into, you instantly know a lot about who should handle it and what kind of tools they're going to need.
Okay, so this grid looks great in theory, but it really comes to life when we start plugging in real-world examples. A structured operational decision down in cell 1 is a completely different beast from an unstructured strategic one way up in cell 9. So let's actually populate this thing and see what it looks like in practice. Now, it's worth pointing out that the original text lays out this amazing structure, but it doesn't fill in all the boxes for us. But we can. That's the beauty of a framework. So let's start with that structured column, the easy stuff. In cell 1, structured, operational, you've got routine things like accounts receivable or inventory control, fixed rules, clear process. Down in cell 4, structured management, maybe a manager is analyzing budget variances. The rules for the analysis are set, but it needs that tactical oversight. And cell 7, structured strategic, think about choosing a new warehouse location based on a strict set of data points like shipping costs and land prices. The decision is huge, but the method can be programmed. Okay, now for the messier stuff. In that middle semi-structured column, an operational task could be production scheduling. You have data, but you need human judgment every single day. At the management level, creating a new marketing plan. You've got research, but you also need a dose of creativity. And for strategy, deciding your company's R&D portfolio. It's a mix of hard data and pure executive gut feeling. Then on the far right, you have the truly unstructured problems. Operationally, that's dealing with a sudden, wild equipment failure. At the management level, it's resolving a major conflict between two key employees. And at the top, the strategic level, it's the biggest question of all. Should we merge with a competitor? For these really complex problems, you can't just run a program. You need something called a decision support system, a DSS. These systems don't give you the answer, but they help you model different scenarios and make sense of complex data so you can make a better call. So I'll leave you with this thought. Take this grid and apply it to your own work. Think about a decision you had to make this week. Where would you put it on this matrix? Was it a structured operational task or maybe a semi-structured management challenge? Because once you know where it fits, you can start asking the really important question, did I have the right information and the right tools to solve it in the best possible way? And that right there is the power of this framework.